You was outside this weekend.
I was definitely outside and it was lovely. I haven't had a night like that in a long time. And the way that everything happened was just so easy. And I kept seeing it, this party. So it's called Sorry Papi, and it's a perreo party. And it's an all women reggaeton party. And I'm like, this is interesting. It literally says like no boys allowed. And they had it a couple weeks or months back, but I couldn't make it. And so now they had it again. I had a friend coming in from out of town and another friend who was going to end up staying over. And I'm like, hey, y'all down to go to this party? And they're like, okay, yeah, sure. So we're like looking into it. This is like the day of the party. Oh, we're doing a giveaway. Enter for your chance to win free tickets. Okay, Pavel, so tell me why I enter. And I won free tickets. So I was like, oh, this is a sign. Like, we have to go.
I never win any of those things. So if I did win, I was like, it's definitely a sign.
Literally, I also don't win anything. I'm like, okay, but I also don't enter. So now I'm like, I'm going to enter more of these giveaways. So I end up winning free tickets to go. Nobody really knows what we're getting into. And so like one of my friends, it was her birthday and we're like, okay, we'll do dinner and then we'll go over.
What were their reaction even when you brought it up though? Because like you said, it's a different type of event that you don't necessarily hear often. So when you were like, yo, what do you think about going to Sorry Papi? It's an all girls event. They were like, huh?
I didn't even like frame it as it's an all girls event. I just sent them the post. I was like, oh, do you want to go here? And they were like, yeah. And then, everybody was here and we were getting dressed and somehow it came up. And it was like, yeah, it's going to be like no boys allowed. The conversation's like, yo, I'm a fucking throw it back tonight. This is the night, not holding back. And now, as women do, we are coordinating outfits. Not necessarily coordinate, but it's like, what are you wearing? What are you wearing? And so I'm like, oh, I'm fucking going in sneakers, pants, jeans that I can move in.
Wait, but if there were boys there, would you have worn something different?
Even selecting the outfit was like a different experience than going to a regular party. We're getting dressed. One of my friends, she's wearing a skirt and the skirt has, like side slits on it. And she's like, oh my God, I ran out of the house so fast. I hope I grabbed the right shorts to put shorts underneath the skirt. And so she's like getting dressed and she's like, oh, these are like, they're too long, like they're showing. You can see the shorts underneath the skirt, defeats the purpose, da da da. And then it's like, well, there aren't going to be any guys there. So, and she's like, oh, you're right, fuck the shorts. And so it's like, okay, I'm gonna wear this outfit without fear of any like wardrobe, not even malfunction, just like whatever might possibly happen.
That's a deep word, fear. But it's interesting though, right? Because like you're just going out trying to have a good time, trying to dance, yet women in the back of their mind, depending on what you wear, there's a fear of not only how you're gonna be perceived, but also, oh, yo, shorty wearing a shorter dress, and oh, yo, no shorts under that. Oh, she wanted.
Yeah, and
like who knows what's gonna happen, type of shit.
Not even like, oh, she wanted. Like literally, like men have grabbed asses.
Oh yeah, I've got my dick grabbed in the club plenty of times, not by men, but I'm just. It happens. It happens in the club.
So it's just like, all right. So we get to the venue and we get in and that shit is packed. Like it's, there's just so many women there. The people outside of the like area, the security and like, what have you, there were men there, right? Facilities, there's janitors inside, like there's bars, some of the bartenders, some of like the eateries, there were men there. But other than that, everyone else was a woman. All the DJs were women, the promoters, like all women, and obviously the attendees. So we kept talking about it, and the word that kept coming up is safe. This feels so safe on so many different levels, right? Safe to be able to wear whatever we wanted to wear. So we get inside, and there's, women in there that are in, sneakers and, baggy jeans and a t-shirt, whatever. And then there's women with very little fabric on their bodies. And it's just, yes. And it was so supportive and, good. There were lines at the bar and it was like 2 by 2 and everybody was just organized.
No
and
way.
They were just courteous and polite. And again, it was full of women. Not once did anybody grab me by the waist to move me aside. It was like, oh, excuse me, coming through. And you know, like if you need to get someone's attention, like the shoulder, the arm is right there. I understand sometimes you need to touch someone, but it does not need to be their waist. And then there was a lot of dancing.
And you felt more comfortable dancing in that room full of all the women compared to like, let's say, a mixed crowd?
Yeah, it's just like the kind of dancing, right?
Yeah, tell me about that.
It's, again, this is a reggaeton party, right? So there are a lot of opportunities to gyrate and twerk and just fucking, you know, see if you still got Meg the Stallion knees and drop it low, right? And there's a lot of ass shaking. And a lot of times we may even like hold back how into a song we are and how much we're dancing because of the spectators. Like nobody's checking for anyone. Like you're just like in your own world, right? And so in a mixed party, like sometimes you notice like guys like just staring at you, drooling. And sometimes guys will come up behind you to dance with you. And that just may not be like what you're trying to do. And for whatever reason, like maybe I just spent 7 minutes pop lock and dropping it and I need to breathe. Don't come up behind me. You had more freedom to just dance how you wanted to dance. And also the other thing is like not being recorded. There's a big like hesitation in dancing in whatever way you want, because who knows who's going to pull out their cell phone and start recording you and like have that shit to like look at later or post or what have you. I forget what it's called now because it's changed names so many times, but in the Bronx, it was Jimmy's, or
Jimmy's
Salsa
Cafe that went to X Bar that is now Salsa con Fuego.
Oh, exactly. And I remember the last time that I went to Salsa con Fuego, there was a guy with a camera and the images that he was shooting was going back to the main stage and like the big screen behind the stage. But what he's shooting and the angles, it looks like, you know, something that it was on BET After Dark, coming up under like, skirts and stuff. Yo, like, I don't need my whole fucking ass on this giant screen. So you can't let loose. You can't be free. You can't truly enjoy it. And with this, I feel like you could.
I would love to wait in line with the women as they come in and just ask them, are you going to tell your coworkers about this weekend? You know what I mean? Like, or are you just going to lie? Like, are you going to show them the highlight reel of the Sorry Papi tour? Or are you going to be like, oh, I don't want to explain what the hell Sorry Papi is. I don't want to explain why it's a women only party and like why be throwing ass at it. It's just so much explanation that you got to go through.
Yeah, I did talk to some of the women that went there, how they felt and kind of like their take and their experience of it. One of the women that I was speaking to, she happens to work in HR. And so I asked her, I was like, oh, so when you go back to work, what do you say? And she's like, nah, I don't even like accept coworkers on my social media. My shit is private and they cannot come in. And she works in, you know, a predominantly white, you know, organization. And I'm like, so like, what are you going to say? She'll be like, oh, high level, nothing too revealing. Just like, oh yeah, I just went out with a couple of girlfriends. It was nice. She's like, because I don't want to explain, number one, like, what is reggaeton? And what does a perreo party consist of? And then like, it's all women. And then it's like, is this something for like lesbians? She's like, because they would go there. They would absolutely go there. And then it's like, are you a lesbian? She's like, it just would open me up to so many questions, that the assumptions that would be made on that. And so she's like, nah, I'm absolutely not. Being in HR specifically, like you have to have a certain image. And I'm like, so HR though, like that's mostly women that you work with, I'm assuming, right? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, so even then, like you don't feel comfortable, like sharing with them what you did? And she's like, yeah, because like, okay, we're all women, but you're a white woman and your experience in life is very different. And how you got to where you are is very different. And the standards that you know, people have for you is very different. Unfortunately, we're fed this lie that we're in competition with one another. And there's not enough room for all of us at the table. So when women start climbing the ladder and they start advancing in their careers, unfortunately, the way that that's usually done is by emulating male traits, which tend to be, aggressive, assertive, what have you, which tend to be in competition versus in collaboration. And there's this like scarcity mindset that we're like fed into that isn't real at the end of the day. There's more than enough room for all of us, but then that's when like the cattiness comes out. And that's where like women start to like not be nice to each other because it's like, I had to fight to get here and now like you're gonna come as well. So I thought that was really interesting because I thought if you're in a space, at least with women, it's more inviting. And it almost seemed like it was less inviting for her to be able to be like, yeah, like this is who I am and like whatever, because they'll find any reason to hold it against you.
I
'Cause
remember having a director that said she would never work under a woman, essentially reporting into a woman. She was like, I only report to men. And because of everything that you just mentioned right now. And I was like, what? Like, yeah.
I'll tell you that my most toxic managers were women. The worst work experience that I ever had, I had a white woman as a manager. And I have been blocked by women managers more than by male managers. And I almost wonder if it's because like maybe men don't recognize women as like direct competition, whereas like a woman to another woman, it's like, okay, well, if she gets promoted, like she's that much closer to potentially taking my job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's assumptions, but in my experience, like it's been more challenging working under women than it has been working under men.
Interesting.